How you doing? This is Nathaniel Swopes from Swope Setting. Today I want to talk about John Morant. Recently I made a video about a week ago about John Morant being the next NBA great player, or the NBA will be his once LeBron James retire. And there's a story that recently dropped that John Morant was accused of punching a 17-year-old boy 12 to 13 times and flashing a gun at him during a pickup basketball game last summer, according to police. Uh, according to police, reported by Molly Hensley Clancy of Sports Investigations at the Washington Post. Now, we don't know if this story is true, but again, there was one basketball game, I believe, against the Indiana Pacers where John Morant his friends got into a bit of an altercation with some Indiana Pacers player. I believe it was the Indiana Pacers, and supposedly one of his friends flashed a light outside of the car, which could mean he had a gun with a laser on it. Also, Shannon Sharp came out saying that John Morant needs to stop acting like a thug before he gets in some major trouble, because he's a very talented player. And John Morant is very talented. And if he does have these issues where he's acting like a thug, or he's very, getting violent, getting into fights, he needs to calm it down, because, he recently got a $250 million contract. And we see this so much with some of our athletes where, as O'Shea Duke Jackson would say, in the black community, it's like the only community where the rich is still intertwined with the poor, or where the rich is intertwined with a lot of the Pookies and the Ray Rays of the community, and they kind of intermix and still hang out with each other. But if he has a group of friends and they're getting into a lot of trouble, John Morant needs to let those friends go and only keep a positive group around him. And if he has some anger issues, which a lot of us have, no matter if you're making $1 million or not, if he has an anger issue, man, he needs to get some counseling, because he's just too talented to allow his anger, or, where he came from, to affect his money. Now, if this is true, this is something where it can affect the contract that he just received. He just got a shoe deal. I mean, he's blowing up. It could affect the shoe deal, his money, possibly even suspension from the league if this is found out to be true. Now, this is just an accusation. We all know there can be real false accusations. This could be, and this may not have been John Morant who did it, but it could have been somebody in John Morant's camp who may have hit the kid and flashed the gun. Could have been the same young man that flashed the laser at one of the Indiana Pacers players, because over the summer, a lot of NBA players are playing in open gyms against talented young players. They showed on TV where you've seen John Wall playing against one of the top 18-year-old high school prospects that was committed to Wake Forest. So this happens in a lot of NBA open gyms, where they do mix in not only with other NBA players, but they mix in with celebrities, and they also mix in with very talented high school, JUCO, prep players. So, again, John Morant, if this is true, he needs some counseling, and he needs to get the right people around him. And if this is not true, he needs to be careful during the summer who he works out with and who he trains with and who he plays open gyms. We may need to have some private open gyms with just only NBA players or only overseas players, because he's in a different light right now. Everything he does is under a microscope. He's making too much money. He has too much going on to be doing the same things that he probably was doing in college. Now, if this would have happened when he was in college, nobody would have never said nothing. Freshman year, John Morant, if he punched a 17-year-old, flashed a gun, they probably would have never said nothing. 18-year-old senior in high school, John Morant, they ain't no say nothing. But if any little thing that you or your camp does, especially if it's his camp, if it happens with his camp, it's going to be blamed on John Morant, because they're hanging out with John Morant. And again, if one of his friends hit the kid and flashed a gun, they're going to blame it on John Morant, because he's hanging out with John Morant, and John Morant has the money and the name. So worst come to, if it wasn't John Morant, he's probably going to have to settle out of court, paying the young man and his mother some money, just because his friend did it. So again, John Morant, I hope this isn't true. You know what I'm saying? Again, we heard the incident with the Indiana Pacers, but he needs better players around him. And I believe what Shannon Sharp said. He needs to stop acting like a thug. You make too much money to be hanging out with people from the same neighborhood that's doing the same crazy things. And if he's doing it, he needs to slow down because he's going to end his own career too early. So, like I said, I just hope it's not true. This is Swope Said It, and you all have a great day.